What's happening is because of martingale,
Yeah.
when it puts pressure, it puts flat blunt pressure, which goes to the trachea, okay? So here, when she's pulling and stuff, main thing is we always want to fit the collar higher up on the neck. So the reason why she's pulling is she just wants to get out of here, right?
Yeah.
She's like, oh, I know what this place is not so fun.
Yeah.
So that's why I just say to ignore it in the beginning,
Okay.
until you get the dog to a point where they'll stick to your hip no matter the environment. And also, with her vocalizing, have you come to like to find a range where she's not as vocal, or do you find you get vocalizations at any level?
I don't think she vocalizes much at 25. I think she vocalizes depending, like, you know, we didn't have it on her at all yesterday. So maybe it's like the surprise of it being so high.
It's different for
First
day
time
to day.
back.
Like one day I took her out at 34 and not a single yelp, just kind of a little twitch. And the next day 34, there was a yelp.
Was there any difference in the context?
The placement seemed the same, and it was the same day as always.
Okay.
It was an afternoon walk both times in the
Gotcha.
same neighborhood, so
Gotcha.
I don't know what the difference was.
Okay, well, let's keep an eye on that.
Okay.
Because yeah, if you yipping at the same level one day and then on another day, that's there's some weird inconsistency there. Okay, so with this, what we're going to cover is what we call place command. This is for duration or stationary control. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to teach you the same, and we're going to talk to how like you can apply it just in your lives to add a bit more structure, and also to teach you what does e-collar mean. Right, that's what all this stuff is what does the e-collar mean, so that it doesn't be, it's not always like big bad things, like okay, like it's a line of communication.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you're gonna start with her first,
Sure. Is that okay?
and he lowered it, correct?
Yeah, it's 18.
Okay, so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna teach Nala what we call the send, which means to go to the place. Okay, so we're gonna start first. Does she have a dog bed at home that you use or anything?
Yeah.
She does. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a
Well,
word
she
for
kind
it?
of sleeps everywhere, but
Sure.
she does have a dog bed. But like I let her sleep on the couch, on the bed, on her dog bed, and she does use her dog bed quite often.
She does, yeah. You have a blanket you put out for her. She knows what
Oh
spaces
yeah,
are
there's
for
like
her.
a blanket in
Oh, sure.
front of like a coffee table too that she'll lay on for when we're on the couch and like maybe having a couch meal in front of the TV, and it's like that she knows she can't be on the couch when we're eating, so she sleeps like she lays on the blanket in front of the coffee table and just kind of looks at us having a dog food.
Okay, sure. So yeah, so she has some reference points.
Yeah,
Good.
she has her places, yeah.
So what we're gonna do here is we're just gonna build on that. Okay. So if I send a dog to a place, they go there, they don't move for 2 hours or however long they've been before. Okay. And if they move, of course, there's a consequence for it. And this is what allows people to take their dogs to like restaurants or their friends' houses or whatever,
Yeah.
because they have control over their dog and they can enjoy their meal and not worry about what is my dog doing.
Right.
Okay. So here, what we're gonna start with first is the reason why we went lower is because we're teaching something new.
Got it.
Anytime we teach something new, we always go down low, okay? And then we work our way back up.
Okay.
So here, we're gonna start about a foot away, or 1 square away from the bed here.
Sure.
And what you're gonna do is you're gonna have Nala next to you. You can bring her over.
Come on.
You're gonna have Nala next to you, and then you're gonna shorten your leash, okay? About, and you're only gonna give her about maybe a foot and a half of slack. You're gonna be real close up on that leash. Okay, and what we're gonna start with is you're gonna start tapping first.
Tap.
Yeah, well, not quite yet. Once I start telling you to tap, you'll start your tapping process. You're gonna tap about 2 to 3 times, and if we see no response from Nala, you're gonna keep tapping, and then you're gonna use your leash pressure to guide her to the dog bed.
Got it.
Now, we're not gonna say anything right now, because we wanna make sure that the tap itself is what's causing Nala to go to the bed. Okay, so like, let's say you said, Nala, go to bed, and she went there. It's great, but it doesn't allow us to teach it with the remote. Okay, we want her to understand how the remote turns on and how it turns off in reference to this behavior. Okay?
Okay.
Questions?
Don't think so.
So go ahead and bring her back to your side a little bit.
Come here.
Good. And then you're going to tap, tap, tap. Now, as you're tapping, pull forward a little bit with your leash. Tap, 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 like that. And wait a moment, give her a little bit of praise,
Good job.
and then break
Break, what do you mean? So get her
or
up?
release.
Oh, okay.
Did we cover release last time?
No.
No.
So we use the word break. Break means your job is done.
Oh,
Okay? So like, let's say she's in a heel,
Uh-huh.
and you come to a stop and you want her to potty, break. she's free to pee poops
Oh,
to the ground.
okay.
So,
Is it okay if should I use that word?
Do you use okay or free or something?
I use okay, go.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, just you'll have to remind me, because I
Okay.
use break, so
Okay.
then if your cue is okay, go, that's fine. Okay means your job is done. That is your release command,
Got it.
okay? And the release command is universal. So whether the dog is sitting, standing, laying down, in heel or whatever, break means you're done from this job, okay?
Do you think we should switch
Or okay.
to break?
And we can try. I do feel like she reacts to okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
she
go.
does.
Yeah,
Okay,
she
go
We'll just
potty.
keep it then.
That's fine.
Okay.
So go ahead and tell her okay,
Okay.
and then you're gonna move forward.
Okay, go.
Good.
Oh, sorry, I tapped it and I don't know why.
It's okay, it's just habit.
Habit.
So what you're gonna do is you're gonna walk towards the bed and you're gonna stop, again, like a square two away. If Nala goes prematurely, you're not gonna allow her. That's good right there. Now tap, tap, tap. Okay, now as you're tapping, a little bit of leash pull, tap, tap, right there. A little bit of praise,
Good job.
and okay.
Okay.
Good. We'll do it 3 more times.
Good job.
Tap, tap, tap. A little bit of pull, tap. Good, right there.
Good job.
Okay,
Okay.
good. 2 more.
Whoop. Here, wait, this way. You almost had it. There you go. Should tap.
Yep, tap, Yeah.
Then leave.
tap, tap. There we go. Good, we'll do 1 more.
Good job. Okay, go.
Tap, tap, right there. Better. We're at 18.
Yes.
Let's go 21. Good, remember, repeat that process.
Okay.
That last one, it kind of, because she was closer to it when you tapped her, it kind of looked like there's a little bit of incentivization for her to go forward, because that's what we're looking for. The reason why we're tapping with her at her side first and not immediately leading her is most trainers teach it that way. Is when they're walking the dog and they'll say place and they walk the dog there. And the dog becomes reliant. It's kind of like training wheels, right? So what I do is I get close enough where it's easy for the dog to get to, and I can still add direction, but it's real obvious that the dog goes from here to there on their own. Okay, so because she's still learning, at the end you're giving a few steps. Now we're gonna make things a little more difficult. Okay.
Okay,
So
so
now-
I stop and then pull with the leash?
Correct. You're gonna stay stationary. We bump the number a little bit to just add a little bit more motivation. We're gonna start the tapping, right? Tap, tap. If no response, then you keep tapping and pull, but you're gonna keep still.
Got it.
Okay?
Got it.
Right, or okay?
Okay, go.
Good.
Should tap.
Tap, tap, tap. Right there.
Good job.
So you see how that was pretty obvious?
Mhm.
Good.
Good job.
Okay.
Okay, go.
Good. 1 more.
Okay. She's looking at me like, what do you want me to do?
I'm doing it.
So here, because she went with your momentum. So when you step forward, come to a stop first, and that, square to 2 squares away, wait a moment, and then the tapping, and then the pull.
Okay.
Okay, because that when you step forward and did this at the same time, so it kind of just gave her that momentum.
Got it.
And I want to get a real clear stationary to motion.
Okay. Good job. Okay, go. Let's try this again.
Right, good. Good. Better.
Good.
Good girl.
Good girl. Good girl. Okay, go.
Good. 3 more.
I didn't tap there at all. Is that okay?
Remember, you're supposed to tap first.
Shit.
Tap and then pull if she doesn't respond.
Tap, then pull.
Yeah.
Damn it, sorry. Good job, mommy messed up. Okay, go. Tap, then pull. Tap,
Yeah,
then
so
pull.
tap two-
Sorry, I'm so tired today.
Tap 2 to 3 times, and if no response, keep tapping, then pull.
2 or 3 times, no response, then
Tap, tap, tap. Right there.
pull. Good
So,
job.
On that second one, it looked like, right, she kind of winced, but then she moved forward, right? And on the third one, it looked like if you hadn't even done the leash pull, it looked like with the third one, she was going to go anyway.
Yeah.
Right, so that's how where we can or see that she's learning, oh, tap means to leave here and go here. Because for the last week, that's what tap meant. Walk with the left side,
Yeah.
right? So now she has to learn it means something else,
Yeah.
okay? We'll try one more.
Okay. Good job. Okay, go. All right. She's anticipating.
Yes. Now tap, 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 then pull. There you go. Good.
Good job.
Get a little praise.
Good job.
Good. We're gonna swap handlers here.
Swap what?
Handlers.
Okay.
All right. So you're gonna do. Wait a moment.
You were
We're
there.
gonna do same concept. Let's go to 24. And we're gonna keep that about 2 square distance.
Okay.
And then here, when you tell her okay, what you can do is when you release her, okay, and then move backwards, and it should just draw her to you, okay?
Okay, go.
Good girl.
Good girl.
Go ahead and bring her in towards your side.
You're working with Dad now. Go on. Go on. Go on, Daddy.
Wait a moment, that's good. Coming a little bit closer.
Okay.
There you go, wait a moment. So like, let's say she did start to go on her own, just so that you know, you would restrain her.
At that point.
Okay, because we don't want assumptions now. We want to make sure that she's going in response to the caller.
Do I
Okay?
tap and pull her back, or just simply pull her back?
Just simply pull her back.
Okay.
If she keeps going, then we'll tap to settle her a bit more.
Mm.
But in the beginning, typically like a little bit of restraint is enough.
Okay.
So now you'll relax your leash a little bit, and now you're gonna tap, 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 and then like pull forwards. Tap. Good. Do you happen to have treats on you?
Good girl.
No.
No. What you can do with this exercise is start pairing in food. I typically don't do this.
Okay.
Like 98% of my dogs aren't trained with food.
Okay.
But I think here with this exercise, it's a simple enough one.
Okay.
You're not using it to lure her there. Okay, it's just gonna be in your pocket, and when she goes, you're gonna feed. Okay, I actually have a dog that I did this with this past week. I'll forward you that video as well. And you can skip to the middle and watch like, 5 minutes, just so you can see it.
Okay.
But it's literally, the same concept, you're tapping, and then once Nala goes, good girl, feed. Okay?
Got it.
That's it. As an added reinforcer to see if it helps her respond a bit more easily with the remote pressure.
Okay.
Okay? Let's go down, let's try 22.
Okay.
And then you're going to release, okay, go.
Okay, go. Okay, go.
Good girl, yeah.
There, good girl. This way.
Good. Come in about 2 squares away. Good. Right, good.
Good girl.
And tap, tap, tap. A little pull forward, tap. Good.
Good.
Tap,
Nope.
tap,
Nope.
right there. Good.
Good girl.
So there,
Good girl.
she sneaks off with 2 paws.
Mm-hmm.
You started tapping and she got down to the place.
Mm-hmm.
That shows you that she's getting concept now.
Mm.
Okay? So the reason why, so a lot of dogs that have come in have already been trained before on remote collar or with food or whatever. And the owner will say like, oh, just the dog already knows how to go to bed. Right? And I go, I get that, but they don't know how to go to bed with the remote, or at least not with the remote correctly, right? That's why we're here. So you can tell when a dog's got a concept because it shouldn't be that simple. right? She went there and then she tried to sneak off and you tapped her, she
Whoops.
went right back.
Yeah.
If she was panicked or didn't have concept, you would see her kind of trying to flush off and running elsewhere because she doesn't know what to do yet. Okay?
Doesn't know where that safe space is.
Exactly. Last week, the safe space was at our left side, right? Now the safe space is go to this bed. And even though the pressure of the remote doesn't change other than the intensity, dogs interpret what it means depending on what life looks like within that moment. So like, let's say you're at home and she's got her dog bed that you work with, and you said, place or whatever, she would assume, or she felt the tap, she would assume to go to that object. If you're walking with her and she's behind you, and this is your leg, and you tap her, she goes, oh, that's supposed to be here, right? That's her frame of reference.
So it's location based kind of, or situation.
Context based, correct.
Yeah,
How
context-based.
so like once we get to recall, if she's 30 feet away from you, you look very different to her, right? You're at a distance. So the tap, she would most likely assume, oh, I should return to mom and dad.
Yeah.
Okay. So dogs learn by association. She does not know that once we label the word bed or place, whatever, she doesn't know that place means go to your bed by definition. She associates that when I hear place, this goes off, and if I go here, it disappears. Okay, and I think that's something that a lot of people get incorrectly, is they think the dog understands the word as if by definition.
Yeah.
And I go, no. Like, it's all about association.
Yeah.
That's how dogs understand those words. Okay?
Yeah.
Questions?
No. I'm just like in my head, I'm like, they don't understand words, which makes sense, right? But I swear to God, when I tell her to go poop, she will poop. So it's like, what about that?
Yeah, but she doesn't know go poop
Yeah.
means that poop means the act of releasing one's bowels,
Yeah.
right? But she has because we do that with our puppies.
Yeah.
We say go potty,
Yeah.
and what happens is when you see them circling, when you're saying go potty is getting tied or associated to that behavior of sort of circling.
Yeah.
So when they hear it, it's not that they know go poop. It's they know that like it's the association of like, oh, this is what I'm typically doing when I hear this phrase.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes, that's the difference. So
Yes.
she has a good association,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So like my dogs, if I'm outside with them and they're like lollygagging, I'm like go potty, and they'll look at me and then you'll see them circle around and get ready to go.
Yeah.
Right? Because I've trained them since they're puppies. That when I saw them doing that behavior, go potty was associated to that.
Yeah, it didn't happen for the first year because like we were so new and like and she was scared of like everything when I first got her. But like I would say in the last year, it's just been helpful to use. But like anytime she's going, I say it, and then it's easier, especially when it's freezing out, to be like, "Come on, like now or never,"
Yeah. No, it's a definitely handy word to teach to dogs in any place that has a cold winter.
It kind of sounds to me like it's more like musical notes to us as opposed to a word like.
Oh, sure.
You could like a mood or a feel. You couldn't define what note it is, but you know what it's about.
Yeah, with major, minor, and all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I get what you're saying. I play music, so.
Oh yeah, so you know.
Yeah, I'm aware. Yeah.
You know the terminology.
Yeah, and I actually use music a lot. So like one thing, I was in the jazz ensemble, and my professor was like, whenever we would mess up, we would stop playing. And he'd say, don't do that. He's like, because the more you do that, the more you're conditioning yourself to do that, and when you're in a show, you can't do that, right?
Yeah.
So it made a lot of sense. So you have to just push through it. You make your mistakes and you get back on your feet, keep going. And I feel the same thing for people. I'm like, if we're dealing with reactivity, everybody wants to stop. If your dog is panicking, everybody wants to stop. And life is not going to let you stop. You have to learn how to keep going when something like that happens, So, and then also just like with dog training, it's also very much feel-based. Are you a musician?
Part-time.
Part-time?
Yeah.
But, there's
Bass,
musicians who have
piano.
good, sorry?
Bass, piano.
Piano, okay, great. So 2 musicians.
Not very good.
It's like, I'm not very good, don't worry about it. One thing I struggled with was feel. And it was very interesting because I learned dog training hands-on. I went to rescues and I practiced hands-on. I watched these along, come back, practice, make mistakes, learn, repeat. And I learned music through a book. Reading notes and all that stuff. So I'm good with the theory part of it. I'm really smart with that stuff. But I didn't have good feel. And my friends who learned by ear, right, rewinding and playing and all that stuff, pausing and all that, figuring it out on their instruments, had really good feel. you know. So, and they would pick up songs very quickly. Now, I developed my feel over years of practice, whereas they just had it naturally because they learn hands-on. And it's funny because some trainers learn from a book, and you can see the difference. Just like I can hear the difference between a player who's very much book-driven versus one who is all about learning on their own, training their ear, and feel-driven. You know, that's why there's certain musicians that we look at as like being great musicians. You know, especially when it comes to blues, because blues is very emotional type of music. It's because they're playing with feeling. The notes don't matter. It's the emotion they're putting behind it. And it's the same thing with dog training. I learned through feel. So that's why I'm very intuitive, and I can sense things, and I can see things, and I can be, you know, say like go to 21, go to 19. I can see it, and that's why for you, that's why I like not touching the dog anymore, because now you're developing that feel, if you will. Okay, so I completely get what you're saying. Music is a very good analogy for dog training, believe it or not. So
Good.
okay. So we're gonna do a couple more of these. Let's go ahead and give her a release. We're gonna do about 2 more, the same way that you're going about it now.
Okay, go. Okay, go.
Yeah, go ahead and straighten a little bit. Right, good. Tip. Tip. A little pull. Tip. Right there.
Good girl.
Good girl. Good girl.
And one more. Okay.
Okay, go. Okay, go.
Got a girl.
Let's go. Probably a little closer, yeah?
Good. So you're straight on this. Yes, good.
There.
Tap. 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 And pull. There we go. Good.
Girl.
And you can hear, so earlier she was giving more of like a yelp or a bark, and now she's giving more of a pine.
Yeah.
And that's frustration.
Yeah,
Because she's trying to figure out, again, we're providing very little guidance,
yeah,
because I want her to really use that brain. So like learning stuff I learn stuff better on my own,
Yeah,
figuring it
yeah.
out. Same thing for dogs. So we're putting that pressure on, close enough that it's easy for her to get to, and if she doesn't get it, then we kick in with that pressure, okay? Because we're trying to put everything to the tap of a button. Once she's conditioned, what you'll see is you'll give that tap and whoop, she's just gonna shoot there, okay? Questions so far about this? So we're gonna try the same thing, except now we're going to add maybe another square. So we're gonna do about a 3 square distance from the bed, okay?
Okay. Okay, go. Okay, go. Come on. There you go.
Right,
Go,
good.
swoosh, swoosh, swoosh.
Good. A little bit of pull forward, yeah. Yeah. There we go. Good.
Good girl.
Good girl, boo-boo.
Good girl.
Good girl.
Okay.
Another one?
Yep, we're gonna do that 4 more times.
Okay. Okay, go. Okay, go. Good girl.
Does she have allergies?
I don't know. I think she does, because she rubs her face on stuff.
Okay. Does she have any food allergies?
I don't think so.
Go ahead and keep repeating that, okay?
Okay. Oh, right here, right here. Come here.
I
No.
thought I meant like seasonal allergies, like hay fever.
I know, you're just looking like, oh, yeah, we give her a leg room.
Good
girl.
girl. I thought you meant seasonal allergies. That was really funny.
Oh, now you're fine.
I was like, yeah, she
I should
really
have clarified. Any food allergies?
Okay, go. Okay, go. No, no, no. I'm sorry, no, no.
She's like,
Good job.
Cool. Good.
Good. I feel like she's waiting for me to pull.
Yeah. So that's why we start with the tapping first.
Gotcha.
Right? Because the faster she responds to the tap, the faster it goes away,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you tap and she just shot there, then we would stop,
Mhm.
right? But she's becoming reliant on the pull. So we can either do one of two things. One, we play with the pressure a bit,
Mm.
or two, I start to incentivize by adding in reward. So one of my employees is gonna bring back some sausage that we can incorporate.
Oh, nice.
And you'll do that for this exercise.
Okay.
Try going to do two more.
Okay, go. Okay, go.
It's funny, Matt, I feel like she responds to your kiss noises to you and okay go to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we both do different things.
In the pool. Yep.
There it is. Yeah, there's much less pressure that time.
Mhm.
Good girl. Good girl. Okay, go. Okay, go.
Or maybe she's just like fed up with us.
Right. There it is.
Good girl.
So we're gonna
Good
pause right
girl.
there. We're gonna keep her there. And if I may have you have a seat there,
Okay.
and just keep the leash in.
Here.
Good. So here we have two aspects to the place command. We have the send, which is what we're doing here, and then we have the stay and don't move.
Mm.
Okay. The stay and don't move and the send can be practiced kind of simultaneously. You don't have to teach this first and then work on the next one.
Okay.
Here, this exercise, you would do 2 to 3 minutes a piece, once a day, right? So that's 2 sessions a day.
Mhm.
The reason why we're keeping it short is it gets frustrating for a dog to do something repeatedly, right? So here, all we're trying to do is create an easy response, which that last one you tapped and boom,
Gone.
she just went,
Yeah.
right? So once I see that consistently, and I attach it to the verbal cue, which we'll do by the end of class, is if you get to the point where you're like, go to your bed, and she just goes there, and it's not a struggle, then I go, great. If that's consistent, we don't need to practice that anymore. She's got a good reference point. Now we just apply it.
Mm.
Okay. For the don't move aspect, you can practice this whenever you're not going to do anything. If you're going to watch TV for a bit, practice piano, you know,
It's a good house to do this in.
yeah, you know, to work on the computer or anything like that, and you be stationary for a bit, you can practice this command. So what we do is, if I know I'm going to watch TV for an hour and a half or so, take the dog bed, plop it down next to me, leash and collar and everything, place, the dog goes, and then just step on the leash or I hold on to it and I watch TV.
Mm.
30 minutes goes by, maybe she hears something outside, maybe she gets bored and wants to move, she tries to sneak off, I tap, she goes back on, I go back to watching TV.
And do you use the phrase place or bed?
I use place, some people use go to your bed,
Yeah.
you know, you can use whatever phrase you want.
What if we have like 2 beds for her?
Is it in the same room?
No, so like there's her actual bed, which is in the bedroom, and then there's like this blanket that's folded up in front of the coffee table.
Sure, so you can have more than one place within the home.
Okay.
So she would go to the one within the context. So if like you're in the bedroom and you said, you know, go to your bed, she'd go to that one.
Got it.
If you're in the living room or whatever by the coffee table and you said go to your bed, she would go to that one.
Got it, okay.
Okay, so dogs, again, what the picture looks like within that moment. So it can have more than one like definition, if you will. So we always start close in the beginning. Thanks. Wait, probably a lot. I don't like it that much. So we got some sausage here we can use.
Mm.
Sounds really in the drops.
Yeah.
So,
Do you remember when she ran her face into the wall last night?
Oh my gosh, yeah. She was so distracted by food, she bam too.
oh
She
really?
like full on went, bam,
Boom.
so
Almost
loud.
woke the house up. We're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
So you can have more than one, and you can, most people just send from about 4 to 6 feet away or being within the room. You can teach it as much as far as like, you know, you're in the kitchen and you say go to your bed or whatever, and she goes to the one next to the coffee table or whatever. But you have to work your way backwards. So first we started at a square to 2 squares back, then we moved it to 3 squares back, and we're gradually making it more complicated by distance, okay? So we work reverse. Start close, work your way further back. Once we get that all down packed, then it's just applying it throughout the day. Okay, now you don't have to have your dog on the bed all the time. Okay, but I try to find, like some of my clients, they make it a routine every time they're making dinner or eating dinner. That's when they practice the place command. So they're keeping it, they're applying it and keeping it in play. So for the dog, it's not something that they learn and then they don't practice for a few months, and then the owner's like, okay, go to your bed and don't move for 2 hours, and they've not done it for a few months, right? So doing computer work, playing piano, watching TV, eating dinner, eating lunch, find little opportunities of where can we utilize this command, okay?
Okay.
So that fast forward and spring and summer come along, you want to take her out with you, whatever, and she's being a little bit rambunctious, or you want to have her under control, not worry about what she's doing. You've been practicing that, okay? Because obviously in the home, not as many distractions as opposed, to outside.
Right, so if you're like, say at a restaurant with friends and you want to bring your dog, do you use the phrase go to bed and just expect her to lay down then? Or is that a different?
You can bring like a towel.
A towel.
Yeah, so a lot of clients just keep a towel in their car.
Yeah.
Or they'll keep like you can use a kitchen mat,
Yeah.
a bathroom mat, a towel, ottoman,
Yeah.
a dog bed. I had a gentleman use an area rug. And he was like, can this be placed? And I said, sure, because there's a perimeter. That's what we need is a perimeter.
Right.
Okay, so like if I said go to bed or go to place, and I pointed there,
There's nothing.
where does it end?
Right.
Yeah, right, there's a wall, but then going this way is like, where does it end? Here we have a very clear defined perimeter.
Right.
Okay, so the dog doesn't care what it is.
Yeah.
So some people, I had a lady use a yoga mat too
Yeah.
for her dog. So it's just something that provides a perimeter that separates the floor from the dog.
Got it.
Okay, so you drop your towel down, go to bed. She goes there, and then you enjoy your brunch, dinner, or whatever. Okay. Now the reason why I like this is because this is more lenient. It's easier to teach in the beginning than sitting down. So we have 3 stationary commands: sit, down, and place. Sit would of course be sit, down would be lay down. Places go to this object. So here, I don't care what Nala does. She can sit, she can stand, she can lay down, she can chew on a bone, play with a toy. Just don't get off of the area. That guy with the area rug, his dog can literally run around and walk. Because it was so big, right?
Yeah.
As long as the dog doesn't step off.
Yeah.
Okay. So, questions about any of that stuff so far?
No.
So what we're gonna do here is we have some beef summer sausage. Okay. Let's just take this. We're gonna go. Everything's gonna stay the same. Now we're not relying on this to get Nala to go. We're using this to balance out the remote. Okay? So we have a balance of positive and negative. Positive is a great tool. I just don't rely on it to create reliable obedience.
Yep.
Okay? So here, let's say we had been incorporating this from the beginning of the session. She may have already been going on one tap 15 minutes ago, right? Because it's just because. Are you actually familiar with the 4 quadrants of training?
Not me.
So we have positive reinforcement, which is like the most common one that people know. Positive punishment, negative reinforcement, negative punishment. In this context, positive and negative means add and subtract. They don't mean good and bad. Okay? Positive reinforcement, add something good. Positive punishment, add something bad. Negative reinforcement, remove something good. Negative punishment, remove something bad. Okay? So here, we're doing technically positive punishment, negative reinforcement. Okay, I think I actually got that confused. Adding something bad, right? To get her to go there. And when she goes there, we take away something bad to make it then a good thing. So that's actually negative reinforcement, I get it backwards.
Yeah.
Right? So then here, the third thing we'd be adding in is positive reinforcement. So what it's gonna look like now is you're gonna tap, and the moment she goes, good, and then just feed. That's it.
When she's on there.
Correct.
Yeah.
Most, if we're doing positive reinforcement, we would have used this to lure her there and then feed. So it's not, we're not relying on it to teach the behavior. We're just using it
As a reward.
as a reward, as a motivator. Okay? So, who wants to go first?
Want me to go?
Sure.
Switch it up.
Do you just need to use restroom?
Oh, I'm good, actually.
Okay.
That, I forgot.
Okay, good. I was worried you were.
We came from the burbs, we drove here, and
Oh,
it's like,
okay.
I'll probably have to, I'm like, yeah.
So I'm gonna have you go ahead and release her. Okay, go.
Okay, go.
And we're gonna just start first with a couple of more without the word, and we're gonna start layering it in. go ahead and stop about 3 squares away from the bed here.
Trying to get her in there.
And don't worry about the heel.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as she just is at your side.
All right, she's lost my right
Yeah.
side today.
There you go, because this is a small space.
Yeah.
Okay, now you're gonna start the tapping.
Oh.
Tap, tap, tap. A little bit of a pull forward. Tap, tap. Yes. Good.
Good girl.
Okay, go.
She's like, oh,
Okay,
she's
go.
not so bad.
I know.
Back. Should I take a step forward?
Yeah, a little bit closer. Good. Tap, tap. A little bit of a pull forward. Tap. Excellent.
Girl.
Good girl.
Good. 2 more.
Okay, go.
Good. Right.
Good girl.
Girl.
We're gonna do 1 more.
She got it quicker that time. Okay, go.
Just looking at that big piece.
She's like, I see what's in your
I
hand.
know. Right, good. Tap. Tap.
Good girl.
Girl.
Good.
Yeah.
So now what we're gonna do is, what word do you want to use for your command?
Go to bed.
Go to
I
bed.
feel like that's our go-to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what you're gonna do now, everything's gonna stay the same,
Okay.
except you're gonna cue go to bed first, then the tapping, and if no response, tapping, then the pull.
Got it.
Okay? So
Line
we're just adding
action.
an extra step at the beginning.
Line tap action.
Correct.
Okay. Sorry.
Then you're fine.
Okay. Go to bed.
Tap,
Maybe I should say it not so soft. Hold on. Go to bed.
tap.
Good girl.
Good girl.
Now, when it comes to the command,
Does it matter?
nope,
It doesn't?
because the remote is technically your tone of voice. So if you heard me work my dogs, heel, sit, down, come, I actually use an up note.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so people tend to go to, like, when they want to be,
That's what my first instinct was, to be like.
Put the bass in your
kind.
voice.
right,
Yeah.
but really the remote can whisper and the remote can yell.
Okay.
Right, so if I go heel, and the dog doesn't heel 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, at some point the dog will do it. So tone of voice actually doesn't matter.
Okay.
So just use your regular, whatever voice you would use, you're
Right.
fine.
Not my like.
Not your tough voice.
Sure. Okay. Okay, go. Okay, go. Good job. I didn't see it yet.
Okay, then pull it back a little bit.
Come here. Come here. No, come here. Come here, come over here. Come here, let's go. There we go. Go to bed. Good
Good
girl.
girl.
I didn't tap at all.
That's fine, because I saw her start moving.
Okay.
We're gonna do that 3 more times.
Okay, go. Go to bed.
Good.
Good girl.
2 more.
Good. Okay, go. Go to bed.
Good girl.
Good girl.
Good girl.
1 more.
She's ready to pounce on the chassis. Come on. Rest.
That's okay.
Go to bed.
Good. Now what we're gonna do here, just keep that leash in your hand and go to that seat.
Okay.
All right, so clearly adding in the food, right? See how quickly that motivated her.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So what can happen, because there's a negative to this, or downside, is I like to use every opportunity possible to layer in remote. Okay, so the more remote I get into the dog's brain, the better they're gonna get faster, okay? The only reason why I'm pairing this in is because I want them to think that that's not a bad thing, okay? So a lot of it was frustration when we were tapping because there's not a lot of guidance and she becomes a little bit vocal, okay? But at the same time, as she was getting like more accustomed to it, you saw her responding sooner with less frustration. But then I was like, well, I want to speed up this process a little bit more and add this just to get her comfortable with that. Okay, so that when we're out in the street and we're correcting her and stuff, ideally we're not getting overreactions.
Sure.
So here, the reason why I'm doing this is because of this. Okay, so right now she's on the bed command. She cannot get to me, but clearly she's wanting this piece of beef here, right? So the way you can still add in the correction, so if she broke off and you tapped her and she went back on, we wouldn't feed that, because that is a correction.
Got it.
We're only feeding when she performs the task well.
Got it.
So if I say go to your bed, boom, she goes there, good job, right? And let's say she stays there for 30 minutes and doesn't move, at the very end I can reward her, good job. But if she gets off and I correct her and she goes back on and I reward her, what do you think can happen?
She's gonna keep getting off.
Exactly, because now she's incentivized to make mistakes, right?
Right.
So we don't want that, so that we would correct without any kind of positive reinforcement.
Got it.
Okay, does this make sense?
Yes.
So, and you can use whatever, like we use the good stuff. I use cheese, hot dog, bologna,
Hot dogs.
turkey, beef sausage, whatever. Because, especially because we train dogs to higher, like a pretty high level here, if people are doing like off-leash reliability and stuff, is we want to add in some kind of balance to help motivate the dog. If it's real simple stuff, like I walk my dog and I need my dog to return, I'm not too worried about it, because we just need functional obedience. But definitely if we're pushing for more control, adding in something like this is good. And again, we're not relying on it to get her to do the behavior.
Right.
That's what the collar is for. We're just using this to incentivize her to, again, not think that that's a bad thing, and to kind of learn and go with the process more smoothly, okay? Questions on this? So this exercise, again, 2 to 3 minutes a piece,
Okay.
once a day, so then she'd get 2 sessions. If you go home, you can literally go home and do this for 2 hours, like the duration aspect of it, right? So it'd be
Have
40
her
your
stay
bed.
stay in the perimeter for.
Correct,
Yeah.
but that's where she's next to you and you're holding the leash and you're just watching TV or whatever, right? So you're still in that immediate space. You know how you're gonna apply this. So I suggest you look at this when you go home and you think about, where would we use this? And if one of them is like, yeah, we'd use it when we go out to brunch or something. Brunch is typically an hour to hour and a half, right? So what I would suggest in the home, not as many distractions, you wanna practice in that 2 to 2.5 hour range, okay? It's because you're making it more difficult through time, because at the restaurant there's going to be distractions involved, right? So you kind of compensate for that through length of time. Now, do you have to do this every day for 2.5 hours? No. But on a somewhat regular basis, maybe 2 times a week or so, you do longer ones.
Yeah.
And then other days, maybe do 30 minutes while you eat lunch, and you do like an hour while you practice piano, and you do 2.5 hours while you watch a really long movie. You just pick and choose where you can apply it. You can practice this command multiple times a day as well. Like let's say you're on a call or something and you don't want her barking out the window or whatever, you can utilize this command to have her under control so that we don't get her barking at the window, because this is what we would call preventative control. Okay?
Yeah.
Let's say when guests come over, she loves people when they come over, she's a little bit too jumpy or excited, you can technically use this as a preventative measure, right? So at 5:30 my guests are coming over, at 5 o'clock now is already in place.
Yeah.
Okay? In the beginning, you're going to have most likely someone with Nala holding the leash, nice and relaxed with the remote for when the guest comes in, because she's probably going to want to break off to say hi or something, right? So this way the leash allows you to prevent her from going, because if Nala gets to the person and then you're correcting, she technically did what she wanted, right? So she gets that reward. And if we keep her on the leash and we restrain her, well, she can't get there, but she's still being corrected. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because for some dogs, being able to perform the behavior and actually getting it, even though they're being corrected, is still worthwhile. Okay? So like I had a client whose dog would eat the garbage. And they were like, Jesse, we won 27 the dog, and he still keeps eating out the garbage. And they're like, why? And I said, because for him, it's worth the hit of 127 to eat the garbage.
Yeah.
And I was like, and they're like, why? I'm like, because he's a dog and their logic is not the same as our logic. So we had to flip it and we made it 127 for even looking at the garbage. Okay, and that's how we fix that behavior.
Yeah.
So every dog is different.
Yeah.
So in some cases, you can't allow them to actually perform the behavior because they'll continue to do so because it's worthwhile, even with the correction.
Yeah.
Okay? Let me think here. If you see her like like right now she's in a resting state. And then like you turn around and you see like her paws are like this, and then like this, and then like this. She's starting to push the boundary. Okay, you'd want to correct that because the brain's thinking of running away. Okay, so you want to stop it as soon as you recognize it. When you tap her, she should ideally go back, it kind of retract a bit onto the bed. If she breaks off, you'll simply keep tapping and guide her back. You would not repeat the command. Okay, so we don't say stay here. Okay, we just say go to your bed and stay is implied.
Okay.
The way we create that implied stay is when she tries to sneak off, we tap with no warning. So that she thinks the only way to avoid the correction is just not to stay, is not to sneak off. Okay?
So the only time you say it is when she first gets on the bed, and then you don't say it again until after you've said, okay, go, or they're done.
Correct.
And then,
If you decide you're gonna reposition her, then you would cue it again.
Got it.
Yeah. Because what happens is when you say go to your bed and she sneaks off and you say go to your bed again, you didn't teach her not to get off. You simply restarted the command.
Got it.
Okay, and that's why a lot of people struggle with that concept.
Yeah.
And it's literally that tiny little detail.
Yeah.
Let me think here. There's something I was gonna say just with that.
I forget the name of the collar I'm supposed to get her. It's called
The prom?
just a flat. No.
Oh, the flat collar?
Just a flat collar.
This is fine too.
I remember you said that this can break though.
Oh, is this the snap buckle one?
Yeah.
Gotcha, yeah. So it's just a flat buckle.
Flat buckle collar.
Yeah. What you can do too is, so for this week with the reactivity stuff, is stepping aside, right? Having her relax, shortening the leash, not being tense, and just going to 45.
Okay.
Okay? And let's say she looks at the dog and you feel like, just go with your instinct. Don't go by, I hope she's gonna be good.
Yeah.
Just go with your gut. And if you're like, this looks suspicious, go ahead and remote. Okay? You're not gonna make your dog any worse. She already doesn't like dogs walking by anyways, right?
Yeah.
Is tap at 45.
Yeah.
If she yelps, just ignore it. See what happens after the fact.
Okay.
If nothing happens, I go, okay, that sucked because she yelped, but nothing happened, right? Because
Yeah.
if you've done 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and she kept barking, then it clearly wasn't working. So then it's 45. Or you could go to 43 and really try to fine tune it to where you'll stop the behavior from happening, but also not get vocalization. But if that doesn't work for you, don't worry about the yelp, okay? Because what happens is, in the beginning, there's gonna be more yelping because you're doing more corrections.
Yeah.
But with her being less reactive, what are you gonna get?
Less reactions. Sorry.
So like right now, it's okay, it's a little bit confusing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna correct more at 45. And I know at 45, I'm gonna get yelps. But I'm not gonna get reactivity afterwards, right? So as she starts to learn to not be reactive, what does that ultimately do?
As she starts to learn to not be reactive.
She knows there's another choice and doesn't need the shock.
Correct, which means no
regression.
no yelping.
No yelping.
No yelping.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because you're correcting more, you're deterring the behavior, the behavior's being performed less, I'm correcting less. Therefore, no yelping.
That's what you're trying to let Nala know.
Correct, right? So I had this is really rare, but I had a client, he had a German Shepherd, a white German Shepherd, and they're neurotic dogs. And he was on a baby collar. He was on the collar that I trained my Chihuahua with, okay? He was so soft. And the owner complained that the dog would never listen. And then they're like, the dog yelps every time they press the button. They're like, I could be as low as possible, as high, whatever, the dog keeps yelping. So I said, put it to 0. Put it to 0. I said, tap on the collar, tap on the collar. Dog yelped. And I said, because it makes a clicking sound. So the dog was yelping, knowing that the owner wasn't going to remote, right? That the owner would lay off.
With the yelp.
Correct.
Interesting.
So then I told him, it's either your dog yelps at 20 and doesn't listen, or your dog yelps at 80 and listens, right? And then ultimately, I'm like, if you keep promoting your dog at 80, at some point, the dog's gonna go like, oh shit, this isn't working, right? And if I'm just compliant, I won't get remoted. So it ended up ultimately to a dog yelping less because we weren't having to correct as much.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a weird way of looking at it, but that's why we start low and we work our way up.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying if you're trying everything and it just wasn't working, and 45 is what got you that first success, then I'm thinking that's where the range is, okay? And it may be for that one time, and maybe a little higher another time, but at least that's kind of like your point.
Yeah, so that's what I was, so another time, I pulled her to the side and there was a guy with 2 dogs, and I started, like, she was totally like locked in on them.
Mm-hmm.
So I started tapping, she stayed locked in on them, I turned it up, I think this was like one of the first times I turned it up to 45, and tapped, and she like yelped at me and then started barking, and I had to pull up on the leash because then she like went for them. And I just had to like hold her up. At that point, do I keep tapping as I'm holding her up until she stops? And
Correct.
Okay.
So what happened was, so if you read online and stuff, you'll read that e-collar makes dogs more aggressive. Okay, and that's a yes and no answer. She was already thinking about it. So what happened is the e-collar unlocked the behavior, right? But she needs to learn that the tap does not mean to move forward. It means to actually go backward, right? To relax. So when you tapped and she went right and she went forward, and you pulled up, that was correct. I'd keep tapping. So maybe if you would have tapped 1 or 2 more times, she would have stopped. And then she goes, oh, well, I triggered with the tap, and it kept happening until I stopped.
Got it.
Okay.
So it's like, it's you stay consistent until she does what she's supposed to do.
Correct.
Okay.
Now let's say you do that and you tap 5 or 6 more times at 45 and you're pulling up, and she doesn't stop. Then we go 45 wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing that you can do if you want is give it a week and just experiment with what you've learned today, both with the reactivity stuff and then with this, you know. And you don't have to worry about food with the healing stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna keep that simple.
Yeah.
But let's say you come back for class 3 and you're like, Jesse, better, but we're still kind of struggling. We can also incorporate a prong. The prong will give you more physical leverage, because I know with the flat collar or the martingale, obviously they can pull and they have more leverage over you. The prong will give you more leverage over her, that allows you a little bit more kind of experimental room with e-collar, because you're going to have much more physical control, where you're not worried about, is the dog going to pull me down.
Gotcha.
So like I have a dog right now that's reactive. It's 90 pounds, and the lady's like short. So I was like, yeah, we're gonna just pop this dog on a prong because I'm not gonna yell on this dog pulling me down. Okay, so that's an added thing that you can do. They run anywhere between $15 to $25-ish, depending on the market. And we can send you the link and the size that she would need. Whether or not she needs it going forward or just in the beginning where you're trying to figure all that stuff out is kind of completely up in the air. I know that every dog progresses differently.
Yeah.
But if you want to experiment first, applying what you learned with the 45 and all that stuff.
I think we should give it a shot first with just this and see, and then if it's still
An issue. And what happens is it's an added point of pressure that allows us to de-escalate a dog more quickly. Do you follow us on Instagram?
She's like shaking. No, I should though.
If you go to our Instagram,
What's wrong?
she might be stressed from the new exercise. Plus this room's a little bit chillier.
Oh.
There's a draft that comes from that window.
Yeah.
I just posted on my social media, it's Canine Perspective Inc. if you're looking.
Thank you.
And I had a dog come in and say it was a pit, it looked like a little gremlin, and super reactive. No.
Yeah, this looks like a meme page. Canine Perspectives.
Oh, no S.
No S, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Right there.
good girl.
It is. So it'd be Canine Perspective Inc.
Good girl.
Got it.
Should be like
This looks, much more appropriate. I was curious about the last one though.
I actually might check that out
I know,
afterwards.
there was a Shiba and there was like, oh, what's he doing? Cool.
So on our live story, if you look, you'll see a pit, and I'm like sitting here, and it's, actively aggressive towards me, and we pop the dog in a prong collar, and then there's 2 clips. One of the dog went crazy and we're talking about it, and then the second clip, and the dog finally calms down, and the owner says, "We've never been able to do this," and it's because of the prong collar, because it's an added point of pressure. It gave them much more control that they're able to de-escalate the dog.
Okay.
So it's just an added form of pressure that gives you a bit more leverage.
Yeah.
But you can try that out for this week.
Okay.
So add food for your
At home.
this exercise, and then for the heel stuff, keep that how it is. We'll see how she progresses,
Okay.
and then we'll play that by ear.
Great.
Okay.
Great.
Anything else?
I forgot to mention this at the first session. So we are going to California for like 5 weeks. I don't know if Marie told you.
Yeah, she told me about it.
Oh, okay, great. I think we're able to get in one more session on the 7th now that I canceled that appointment with Ian.
Yeah.
But, so we'll be able to get like 6 full sessions in, I think. And then we'll be gone and like road tripping and like in California for, like 5 weeks and then coming back.
Yep.
And then we'll start up again. But like, as long as we keep doing what we're doing, like that's
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. I get people that leave for months and they'll do anything with the dog and come back, it's perfectly fine.
Okay.
And there might be some regression, but we're able to catch up.
Okay.
And so that's good, because within those 6 classes, we'll definitely want to cover recall.
Okay.
So that way you're out in nicer weather, you can practice and stuff.
Great.
So heel, recall, and this are kind of like the trifecta of the baseline of commands.
Perfect.
And you'll have 5 weeks to practice, because it's all about time.
Yeah.
Because some people ask, can we do 2 to 3 sessions a week? And I go, no, because it doesn't give you enough time to make mistakes,
To set it.
have failures, yeah.
Yeah.
And we need a week in between is plenty of time. So if I ever get anybody that has like a rotating schedule and I see them like every 2 to 3 weeks, it's nothing bad, it's just more time for them to practice. So.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Good.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
You can release her and I'm gonna give her the rest of this little.
Okay, go.
Okay, go.
Oh,
wait, no.
Oh, we should
Oh,
go.
wait, behind you.
what's this?
Come here, you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yay, that was fun. I got your